Again, welcome everyone to the relaunch of the Restoring Balance Collaborative for the Well-Being of Humanity and the Environment. My name is Alina Kawe. I'm Hyaki from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm based in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm the Systems Transformation Lead and for the collaborative, and just really happy that you could all join us today. This is our inaugural Global Connections Gathering, which we will hold twice a year starting in 2026. And so to get us started, I'd like you to meet the rest of our team, starting with Danielle.
Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Lucero. I use she, they pronouns. I'm from the Pueblo of Isleta and Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. Um, and I am the collective impact lead, part of the collaborative. Great to see you all. Teresa, would you like to go next?
Thanks so much.
Or
Hey everyone. Leo Semchamyavu, Ketchumalea, and Nepo, Teresa Carino. Hello and greetings. I am Teresa. I am a Yaqui descendant from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm the community builder and education lead for the Restoring Balance Collaborative. And Frank, would you like to go next?
Good everyone, my name is Frank Cowie. I'm from from New Zealand, Aotearoa, from the Ngāti Ranginui and Ngāti Kahungunu tribes here in New Zealand. Good to see you all.
Danielle, did you want to lead our chat intros in the chat?
yes, and I was just responding to Lucy, who's already set a really great example of how to respond to this chat. We would just like to know who's in the space with us. So if you can share your name, your role, and your organization. If you'd like to share maybe one sentence about your organization, that would be great too. Um, so we'll just take a moment for that. I see Lucy is here with the water justice and equity work at the Environmental Defense Fund. Great to meet you, Lucy, and I'll wait for others to go ahead and add to the chat.
Awesome.
Welcome, Piper.
Right here, Tucson, yay. U of A. You have some fellow alums on the call.
Yeah, and I'm curious about this concept for next generation gravitational wave detector. That sounds really intriguing. Thanks for sharing a bit about your work.
I can post a link in the chat if that would be helpful, and also talk offline sometime. It's
Yeah,
an interesting
awesome.
situation.
Awesome.
Yeah. Shannon, lovely to see you here.
Well, as these introductions come in, please feel free to keep dropping them in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and just talk to you about our meeting protocols. So by coming together, we are creating a shared space. We want to make sure that everyone feels a sense of belonging, respect, and reciprocity. And to do that, we've drafted these protocols. So I'll briefly go over them. So the first one is based on the belief that we are all inherently worthy and equal. Everyone's voice is valued. The second one, because we have limited time together, we want to be thoughtful with our words and ensure that everyone has time to share. And we will have time for some reflection and also for question and answer at the end. The third one, in this space, we want to cultivate an environment with open hearts and minds and listening for understanding. Number four, as we all know, since 2020, the virtual space is innately distracting. We invite you to find a comfortable space, silence notification if you're able to, so that we can share this time together. And 5, this is a space of mutual respect and confidentiality. We will not share any information without your permission. As you know, this webinar is being recorded. So just be mindful of when it comes time for things that you are sharing. Just know that it will be recorded and shared on our website at a later date. And lastly, at any time during the presentation, you can drop questions into the chat as well as send direct messages or questions to Danielle.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I feel like setting like those meeting protocols is really helpful. And maybe I can just get a thumbs up saying that like we all agree to um, contributing to the space in that way. Awesome. Thanks so much, all. And the intro with your name and organization was just our warm up. We would love to hear what brought you here today. Maybe you've been to one of our gatherings in the past and want to re-engage, or maybe you just learned about us and want to know more. We welcome you to either write in the chat, or if you feel inspired to share with the full group, to unmute and share with us what brought you here today. And if you can say your name and your pronouns when you come off mute.
Hi all. I'm happy to jump in. Lucy Kane, I use they them pronouns. And like I said in the chat, I work at Environmental Defense Fund on the Climate Resilient Water Systems team. It's a mouthful. But our different folks from our team have been engaging with the Restoring Balance Collaborative for a while now, it seems. I've been kind of just getting updates through the grapevine of our team, and especially folks who were able to attend the meeting of Sacred Waters 2 years ago. Um, and ever since then, I've been so jealous, and I'm like, I want in. So this felt like a great opportunity to kind of put a face to names and myself included, introduce myself, and yeah, just really happy for the opportunity to engage with you all today.
Thank you so much, Lucy, and thanks for being here. Hopefully, we'll share the opportunity to maybe attend the Sacred Waters in the coming year. So thanks for bringing that up. And would anyone else like to share what brought you here today?
I'm happy to jump in if that's all right. So I'm here in part because I learned about Red Star International from Karen Francis Begay after she and I had a conversation about a book I'm writing about rivers. And so I've sort of been paying attention to things ever since. And then when I saw where things are shifting, I was really curious and really excited. Pretty much anything water is something I'm really passionate about. And I find myself, like I mentioned in the chat, on this project called Cosmic Explorer, where I'm thinking really carefully about what water means in the context of building a very large physics facility, amongst a bunch of other things. And I'm also working with a graduate student at the University of Arizona who is getting a master's degree in geography. And her research is all about the Colorado River. And she's involved in several organizations. And I also wanted to make sure to bring back some information to her about like-minded folks who are engaged in this kind of work and this kind of thinking. And I forgot to mention pronouns. She, her, they, them are fine. Pretty much anything, as long as it's used respectfully, is fine by me. So I'm really happy to be here, and thank you all for creating this space to talk and learn together.
Thank you, Piper. And that sounds like really amazing work you're getting to do in addition to what you already shared in the chat. And please do send this recording to anyone in your network who you think would be excited to learn more. And we'll definitely chat through all the ways that we can continue to connect uh, through this session.
Hmm.
Any final um, share outs for this prompt?
Hi, Monkey Maharimba. My name is Athena Cholas, and I'm joining you today from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I was very blessed to have stumbled across the invitation to the Sacred Waters Conference 2 years ago in the Pueblo of Isleta. And I'm here today because I'd like to let more people from this area in New Mexico know about the collaborative and bring their knowledge and their experiences and their action to the group to benefit all people. And my pronouns are she, her. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we should go for it. Oh my.
Thank you so much for sharing all really wonderful reasons to be here. And we're so grateful that you do choose to be here because we know so much is happening all at the same time and we want to be in many places at once. But the fact that you chose to be here with us is really meaningful. And thank you. Shannon, do you want to share or you're on mute again.
Hi, so my name is Shannon Seneca, and I am a water doctor, water guardian, and I think that everything that Red Star International is working towards and becoming restoring balance is what we really need. So I've had the pleasure of being on the advisory council and really getting a close look at like watching the organization grow. And so, of course, I need to be in anything and everything that y'all ever do.
Thank you, Shannon. Great to hear your voice today. Yeah, and if there's anything that you want to add in response to this prompt, please continue to add to the chat. We're definitely looking through it and checking in there. Shall we move into our theory of change? Great. So this past March, we developed our theory of change and a framework for evaluation with the help of Brown Horse Consulting, an Indigenous consultant in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a name that might be familiar to some of our folks down in the Southwest. So what do we mean by a theory of change? To us, a theory of change is a map. It connects our everyday actions to the deeper change we want to see in the world. It helps us answer, why do we want to do what we do? And how will those efforts ripple out to make a difference? For us as a collaborative, our theory of change is more than a framework. It's a living system, a story about how our global community of Indigenous stewards grows, adapts, and transforms together. This is important because this work, Indigenous-led climate and health transformation, is complex. We need a way to explain how relational, place-based practices can ripple out to influence laws, policies, and systems. So now I would like to share our theory of change, but before I do, I'd like us to step out of our heads and into our hearts a little bit. I invite you to this journey with me through your senses. Some of you have taken this journey before, but I ask you to see what maybe some new things that you experience, what maybe still resonates. And before I start, we'll take a few collective breaths together. I'm going to invite you to maybe get comfy in your chair. I'm doing the exact same thing. Maybe bring your shoulders up and then release them. We'll take 3 deep breaths. In and out. In and out. And one more. In and out. As you continue to settle in, I invite you to either lower your gaze or close your eyes. Maybe relax into the imagery of the natural water cycle, slowly moving across the screen. Whichever you choose, I invite you to hear, feel, and see the words as I speak them. The collaborative was born out of the recognition that systems are not neutral. They reflect the values of those who create them, and colonial systems, from water management to healthcare, have caused deep harm. Our work is about deconstructing and realigning these systems so they reflect Indigenous values, reciprocity, respect, and relational accountability. We also know that healing is relational. It begins with creating safe, ethical spaces for dialogue and ripples outward, transforming relationships, institutions, and ultimately entire systems. And finally, local Indigenous action has global impact. When communities reclaim governance over their lands, waters, and health, that shift creates waves, reshaping public discourse, policy, climate action, and global well-being. That's what this theory of change captures, how we take that local to global journey together. Our vision is simple but ambitious: to restore balance for the well-being of humanity and the environment. And we pursue two audacious goals: strengthening ecosystem resiliency by realigning systems and practices with Indigenous stewardship, reinforcing self-determined health and well-being in Indigenous communities. This vision is anchored by three powerful symbols: water, the source of life and the lifeblood of this collaborative; heron, a sign of the healing and auspicious power of Indigenous exchange; corn, regeneration and the spiral of intergenerational knowledge. So how do we get from vision to impact? We achieve this through what we call our three ripples of change, with each ripple rooted in the four phases of the water cycle. First ripple, uplift Indigenous agency. This includes phase one of the water cycle that acknowledges that water is a living source. It is the lifeblood of all ecosystems, just as our people and their knowledge are the lifeblood of this movement. In this phase, we build trust, belonging, and confidence, centering Indigenous voices. Second ripple, share and learn together. This includes phase 2 and 3 of the cycle, where water breathes and nourishes through evaporation and rain. Just as water rises to form clouds, the lessons we learn are shared across our networks. We create ethical spaces for dialogue and exchange. As the clouds return to rain, back to the earth, seedling growth. In this phase, knowledge flows outward through storytelling, convenings, and practice tools, sparking innovation and action. Third ripple, amplify Indigenous solutions. This includes the fourth phase of the water cycle, where water returns. Over time, water seeps into the ground, replenishing aquifers and creating long-term regeneration. This phase represents embedding Indigenous values into systems, laws, funding, and policies, so change becomes lasting. In this way, our change process mirrors the water cycle, continuous, life-giving, and transformative. So what happens as we move through these phases? What are the outcomes? A few examples of what success looks like for the collaborative from near to long term include growth in trust, confidence, and leadership among Indigenous stewards, greater access to tools and resources that support Indigenous-led transformation, a visible shift in mindset, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors about what's possible. Indigenous practitioners are using a collective impact approach to transform systems in their own communities. Public discourse about climate change solutions centered on relationship and connection. This is the arc of transformation we are working toward, from trust building to systemic embedding, creating ripples that lead to the balance for generations to come. I'll close by saying that the Restoring Balance Collaborative is not a program, it's a living ecosystem that weaves ancestral knowledge and collective leadership. Our theory of change is our map. It reminds us that restoring balance means carrying ancestral wisdom while planting seeds for generations to come. It also keeps us aligned to our values, accountable to our communities, and clear with our allies and funders about the impact we are making. That is why our meeting today is so important, because we are inviting you all to walk with us in this work. Thank you for listening and for being part of our theory of change. I'll be passing it over to Alina and Teresa as they will dive deeper into how the theory of change is absorbed across the collaborative.
Okay. Our theory of change was developed over the 18 years of leadership with Red Star International, and it is based on a framework called Way of Water, which is an Indigenous framework for leading and guiding relational approaches to systems change, one that is community-centered and values-driven. In 2023, we decided to narrow our focus to addressing climate challenges and their health impacts by restoring balance through land and water stewardship. With this decision came the sunsetting of Red Star International this year and the birth of the Restoring Balance Collaborative as a standalone initiative. The collaborative will carry forward Red Star's legacy of Indigenous innovation, reclamation, and deep cultural connection. Next slide. We remain a US-based Indigenous-led nonprofit organization guided by our International Advisory Council, which is our ethical soil that guides relational accountability and ensures the collaborative's heartbeat is guided by ancestral precedents. I'd like to acknowledge Shannon Seneca, who's not pictured here but has joined us today. Thank you, Shannon, for your guidance and support. We really appreciate you being here. I'd now like to invite Teresa to share more about our journey in terms of where we've been through the impact report and where we're going through the lens of our ripple effect.
Thanks, Alina. Yeah, thank you both. Danielle, thank you for so beautifully walking us through the theory of change. And Alina for that evolution of Red Star to restoring balance. You already heard Danielle talk about our three ripples when she shared the visualization of our theory of change. It is based on foundational belief in our people and our knowledge systems. Change happens through these ripples. Ripple one, when we uplift our people and our values, the world benefits. Ripple two, when we create spaces to learn and exchange with our collaborative members and their communities, we have a better understanding and commitment to systems change. And three, when we share what we learn, we are changing the terrain and changing mindsets about what is possible. We want to share a little bit more about how we got to this point by highlighting some of our outcomes and impacts over the last 3 years, and specifically some examples of what these ripples look like in action. We shared this report ahead of the meeting, and Danielle has dropped a link into the chat. Our first ripple is about uplifting Indigenous agency, coming together to gain support, to continue the good work we are all doing in our communities is one way we uplift Indigenous voices and agency. This photo of some of our members of the collaborative who were able to come together in person in 2024 after a meeting of Sacred Waters. Pictured here are folks from throughout Turtle Island, the Pacific, Aotearoa, and Canada. Indigenous peoples are diverse, and so is our stewardship. Rooted in relationship, we work across multiple sectors and organizations. Many people ask why these 4 nations? Why did we start with these 4 nations? We have a common language and a common history of colonization, along with existing relationships that were born from the initial exchange between U.S. tribes in the Southwest and iwis in New Zealand. Our second ripple, sharing and learning together. We do this by creating a space to come together, much like we are today, learn from each other, and bring those ideas for systems change out into our communities through roundtables, webinars, newsletters, blogs, and more. This graphic illustrates our reach and impact. And our third ripple, sharing what we've learned with a global audience to change mindsets about what's possible. Our culminating global event, held every 2 years, is a meeting of Sacred Waters, which was, as I mentioned, born from an exchange between Indigenous leaders in New Zealand and tribal leaders in the US. A meeting of Sacred Waters is a global gathering to highlight Indigenous-led solutions in support of our ancestral waters and lands. We've been able to gather folks from 5 countries with over 120 First Nations, iwis, and Indigenous peoples represented. Now that I've told you a little bit about where we've been, I'm excited to share where we're going. Next up, I'm going to share a little about our strategic plan, what we aspire to accomplish in the next 3 years. We also shared this ahead of the meeting, and Danielle will also drop a link in the chat. Systems thinking is inherently Indigenous. We see ourselves and the environment not as separate systems, but as a whole interconnected ecosystem. Our worldview and values can create meaningful impact. So in short, our purpose is to advance our Indigenous-led systems change to meaningfully address the health of humanity and the environment. Our first goal is to strengthen the resiliency of our ecosystems by bringing our systems, our values, and our everyday practices back into alignment with Indigenous ways of caring for the land and the waters. Our second goal is to reinforce systems of healing and self-determined well-being. We do this by uplifting Indigenous stewardship practices that honor balance, connection, and community. Here again are the 3 ripples. Just like I shared our impact report in the context of these ripples, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how our strategic plan aims to achieve our goals through each ripple over the next 3 years. Ripple 1, we aim to uplift Indigenous agency by co-creating a space for sharing and learning. We are the conveners who connect people across the globe, facilitate collaborative processes, create partnerships, and leverage resources by sharing materials and offering trainings to help uplift the good work we are all doing in our communities. When we have Indigenous-led spaces, we shift the power dynamics among Indigenous and non-Indigenous allies, creating ethical space. Our Indigenous worldviews and values are centered and promote spaces that promote dialogue and gatherings that spark innovative approaches to address and solve challenging issues around health and our environment. And lastly, when we realign the values that underpin colonial systems, structures, and policies, and shift power dynamics towards sustainability, Indigenous-led solutions emerge and gain global visibility. Through our shared storytelling, we work to shift the narrative by amplifying Indigenous voices through relationship building, multimedia, and global gatherings that foster understanding and spark innovation. I'll close this section by sharing a one-page overview of our strategic plan. This has a lot of information and brings together what I've just shared and more. It can be found on page 12 of the strategic plan. I know that was a lot of information, and now that I've shared where we've been and where we're going, we have some specific ways you can engage with this work. One way is through a meeting of sacred waters. We invite you to join us at our fourth and largest meeting of sacred waters. We are excited to be returning to the Pueblo of Isleta, and we are grateful for the relationship and partnership that we are building with the Isleta Pueblo community. This year, for the first time, we are gathering under a theme, remembering the past into the present. The theme is inspired by the image of the Rio Grande River provided by Pueblo of Isleta Yonan Cultural Center. This photo is over 100 years old, and while we cannot go back to the past, imagining the Rio Grande River flowing in its full expression must be the vision. Remembering and reactivating ancestral knowledge, carrying the wisdom of our ancestors as a compass for future action. That is the way forward. Registration opens soon, and we have sponsorship opportunities and a call for proposals coming soon. We hope you can join us, and even if you can't, there are other ways to stay involved. I'm going to pass it to Danielle, our collective impact lead, to share more.
Thank you, Teresa. I really love the image for this year's meeting of sacred waters. And yeah, that definitely is the vision, to see our rivers in their full expression again. In addition to sacred waters, we have a few meeting opportunities over the next year. Our Global Connections webinars will continue into 2026. So you'll have the chance to gather again with us May 19th as we prepare for a meeting of sacred waters. We'll have a meeting of sacred waters, and then in October, we'll gather again and digest all of the wonderful information that was shared at Sacred Waters, talk about outcomes, and reflecting on our 2026 ripples. So we have shared quite a bit today with the strategic plan and the theory of change and the impact report. And these are a lot of dates to remember. You don't have to remember them all on your own. We, as part of our the RBC launch, we have a really lovely website that if you haven't had the chance to check it out, I'm going to bring it up on the screen for us now. Hopefully you all can see this okay. We work together with our web designers to make sure that folks know that when they are entering into our virtual space, that they're entering into a space that is stewarded by Indigenous peoples. And we ask for this agreement and to state by entering this space, I agree to uphold the shared aspirations to restore balance through dedication and perseverance. So as you move through some of our materials, we hope that's something that you carry with you in navigating our website. So in our ways of being, you can find a little bit about our intentions, our people, our purpose. Our ways of knowing has our ripple effect, resource library, our network, which will be growing as more folks join the collaborative. And then you can also check out our recent publications. That's where you'll find the strategic plan and the impact report. Our ways of doing. So this is where information from the past meeting of Sacred Waters lives. You can also find the From the Mountains to the Sea film available here to reconnect with if you've already seen it once. And then our collaborative events. So this is where we'll add upcoming meetings and sessions. You can see our session today and Sacred Waters here. We'll be adding the other two Global Connections webinars as well. And if you are interested in staying up to date with our news, this is the tab that you can find all of that, including our Heron's Flight newsletter, which we had our inaugural flight a couple months ago, and I'll drop the link to that newsletter in the chat. If you are interested in donating or sharing our page with others too, considering donating to this important work, you can do that here. And if you have any questions after this session, this is a great place to return to. So that's just an orientation to our website. Really proud of all of the work that went into it. We were very intentional about how we share information, about the language we use to talk about the work that's being done by our Restoring Balance Collaborative stewards, and hope you enjoy it as well.
Mm.
And thank you for that question, Shannon. You're actually helping guide us into the next portion of our time together, which is all about your questions and anything that came up throughout our time together today. So with that, how about we get into this first question? Every time I try to access the site by inputting restoringbalance.world, even through Google search, is it giving you issues, Shannon? Is it not like the site's not working for you?
Right, I can't get access to the site. I don't know if it's the devices I'm using or the settings that I have, or if there's like a pop-up block that's causing it or something. I didn't check that yet. So I don't know if some other people want to try. Make sure they can get on there.
I've just dropped the link in the chat. If everyone wants to give it a go, we can see what happens.
And if the site does not work for others as well, Shannon, I'll work with you one-on-one. We can schedule a call and I can help you with that issue. I think sometimes when we're going across different domains and there's different agreements based off of the country that you may be living in, it might block some sites originally, but there's definitely ways that we can help you access the materials and the site. That's something that I've had to navigate as well. So thank you for bringing that up.
So the newsletter one comes up fine. And then I can get through the site like that way, but not through the other link, the restorebalance.world, just the one that but I also didn't try my laptop either. I think I tried my laptop, but I'm gonna try both of these and I'll let you know what happens on my laptop.
Well,
Again,
thank you,
later.
Shannon. Yeah. I'll reach out to you so that we can follow up on that question as well. Do others have questions about anything you heard today, anything you saw in the slides?
Or even any comments would be welcomed, any reflections.
I just want to say that all the materials the logo is so beautiful, eloquent, cohesive. It's just so well put together. And like I said, it just speaks of eloquence and strength. And so I'm just really, really amazed and impressed by your work.
Hmm.
Is the newsletter itself going to be online at the webpage?
Yes, we'll upload it to our news and updates. For now,
Okay,
you can access it through the MailChimp link that's in the chat.
because I did get the email with it, but I haven't figured out my government web restrictions, which blocks all the photos. So I wanted to
Oh,
figure out how to get it through a web page.
Mm.
I see. How does the link that was just in the chat, put in the chat work for you now? Are you able to see the images?
No.
No? You might be able to click like view this email in your browser that's at the top, and that might help. Otherwise, I think you have to
Yeah,
do
I had
some
tried.
background settings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had tried that also. And it's, yeah, something with the way it automatically blocks spam or whatever. So,
Yeah. I can send some ways that you can do that, or if you want to like forward it to an address that is not connected with maybe like a government email, that might be another way to access like the
yes,
photos.
you're right. Okay, I'll sign up through another. And then what is the process for sharing topics or articles or stuff that go into the newsletter?
Mm.
Oh, that's a great question. Um, in the last newsletter, we had kind of a call for
Mhm.
stories. So we'll continue to have that every newsletter as an option. It might have been blocked through the issue with it going through maybe more protections. But we definitely welcome like stories of what's happening in your work that you're excited to share. So I can put kind of the prompt that we had in the last newsletter into the chat. And then if you're unable to submit it through the newsletter, you can always email it to the info@restorebalance.world.
Yeah, so I'll share a link here in the chat to a news article work that was done in Alaska that was just really cool. And I don't know how it would fit into the collaborative with these Indigenous-led solutions and raising the voices, but I just kind of envision, especially at the conference in June, if there were like a video watching session, whether it's a 10-second reel that somebody has done on Instagram or, just to kind of see these videos and hear the voices would be kind of neat.
Yeah, that sounds really great. So I put thank you for sharing the link directly in the chat as well. And then I put the form that we have to share your collective impact story
Okay.
into the chat as well.
Hmm.
And it asks kind of like just for like some sentences about what your collective impact story is. And if you have files that you want to include, there's a space for that too.
I had a question that is kind of related to what Athena raised. I think for me personally, I'm based in California on Ohlone land in Oakland, California. And a lot of my work right now is focused in the Central Valley of California and, getting to work with communities and Indigenous people in the San Joaquin Valley and also the Salinas Valley on the coast. Um, and so naturally, I'm thinking like, okay, either for the meeting of the sacred waters or some of these webinars, I'm curious like how like within the US, like how regionally specific some of the content will be. And if you think, is it kind of come one, come all, regardless of where you're based or rooted? Um, or is it more going to be focused on issues specific to the Southwestern US? Also acknowledging that it is global conference, but I'm curious about the kind of regional nuance within the US.
Alina, would you like to speak to that question?
Yeah, so it is a come one, come all. So anyone can come from anywhere. And we're really, with the Meeting of Sacred Waters, what we're looking to do is to provide sort of a global learning space that can be tethered wherever the meeting is held. So, as we've started out early in our journey, we have been having these meetings in the Southwest, but our hope is to take them to other places like California or Alaska, Canada, or maybe even at some point in the future, bringing them down here to Aotearoa. So in that sense, we are bringing global voices. So the speakers that we're bringing are from here, from New Zealand, from Canada. We have invited someone from the Klamath River. So we're in process with that. We're also hoping folks from Australia and the Pacific Islands, Hawaii, coming through. So um, wherever we hold it, because is so much local engagement. But the speakers that we're bringing are diverse, and then what we do aim to do is also facilitate conversation. So if you've not been to a Sacred Waters before, it's very interactive, and the whole point is to get people talking to one another. So yes, we're really looking forward to this next one in Isleta, where the Pueblo will be a co-host of the gathering. And I will add too, we'll be inviting from other pueblos as well to speak.
Awesome. Thank you for that. This is so
Mm.
great. And I've, really enjoyed the presentation and um looking forward to looking through the strategic plan more closely because it's great.
Thank you, Lucy. And yeah, looking forward to learning more about the communities you're working with as well. So thanks for bringing them into the space too. And welcome to the folks who joined maybe after the start of our session. We moved, just to tell you a little bit of about our journey today. We moved through our theory of change, talked about our impact report and strategic plan, shared a little bit about the events that are upcoming for the Restoring Balance Collaborative. And if you have questions, like you've heard bits and pieces since you joined, and you have points of clarification, or you want to know, like, oh, tell me a little bit more about how you summarize the theory of change, please ask those as well. And thanks for joining us today.
Do we have any other questions coming through, Danielle?
Well, I'm curious because there we didn't talk about our now use of social media to promote the work that's happening at the Restoring Balance Collaborative. But if you haven't checked out or followed us on Instagram, maybe take a moment right now to do that. I'll put the link to our IG in the chat. But Teresa, how might folks get involved if even if they don't have social media?
Yeah, I think the best way is what you've already shared, and that would be by signing up to get our quarterly newsletter. It has a function in there where you can easily share the newsletter with other folks so that you're still getting some of our important information and announcements, even if you're not on social media. We are on, as Danielle shared, we are on Instagram and Facebook, and we are also on LinkedIn.
Maybe go to the next slide because it has that information on it. There we go.
Well, we thank you all. As Danielle and Alina both said in the beginning, we know you're busy. We know there are a lot of places you could have been today, and we feel honored and we really appreciate that you chose to spend that time with us today, learning about the Restoring Balance Collaborative. And with that, I will stop sharing, and we will close.